To stop a counterfeiting ring, Axel Foley infiltrates an amusement park. Join us as we talk about James's beautiful beard, the details of dollars, and the most fun part of interofficing memos. Then we find out if Beverly Hills Cop 3 stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? James says gladiator with a glut. Alan says as a father, blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Test of Time. My name is Alan Noah, and you are the Billy to my Axel, James Brief.
What? You get to be Axel, and I'm Judge Reinhold? You get to be Eddie Murphy, and I'm Judge Reinhold.
That is correct, yes. I mean, you're Judge freaking Reinhold. I feel like you're not appreciating how special that is.
How about I'm Axel, and you're, say, Judge Reinhold?
No, I think I like my version better.
All right, fine.
Good to see you again, James. How you doing?
Good, and I like Judge Reinhold.
Sure, everyone loves Judge Reinhold. I mean, I'm not totally sure about this. He might have a better track record than Eddie Murphy in terms of movies. Like, Eddie Murphy's made some really bad movies. I don't know what Judge Reinhold has been in, other than, like, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Gremlins, and he's been in some pretty good movies. I mean, I assume he's been in some bad ones.
I actually assume he's been in no bad movies.
Then you should want to be Judge Reinhold. You'll have a better track record than me, Eddie Murphy. We can both be Judge Reinhold? I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where I'm going with this either, Al.
Okay.
But I saw this online, and I'm going to hand you this one sentence. It's a 5-word sentence, and you're going to say it to me. And the exercise is you are going to say this sentence 5 times, but each time you're going to emphasize a different word. First, the first word, then the second time, the second word, and you're going to realize it is actually 5 different meanings. The 5-word sentence is, I don't think you're ugly.
I don't think you're ugly. Okay, I get it. I don't think you're ugly.
Hey, wait, you said I was ugly?
I don't think you're ugly.
What, do you know it?
I don't think you're ugly.
Okay, so who's ugly? Tell me. Dish.
I don't think you're ugly.
You were contemplating, maybe, yeah, but okay, I don't think you're ugly.
I mean, that was almost like a question mark at the end. Like, I don't think you're ugly. Like, I'm not so sure about that. I don't think you're ugly.
That's monotone, each one.
I know. So now you don't know what I mean.
That's true.
Whoa, you're not ugly. You're very handsome. I am very jealous of your beard. You have a very nice beard. I'm paying you a genuine compliment about your physical appearance. You look good without a beard. You look very good with a beard. And I am, quite frankly, jealous of that.
Well, I'm sure all our podcasters listening to this podcast are really following this very well.
Fair point, but in like the pictures I have up on testoftimepod.com, you don't have a beard. Maybe I should update it with a bearded photo. Maybe that's helpful for the listeners. Maybe they imagine what you look like and they don't know. And now that I'm saying this, now they'll say, oh, I need to add a beard to my mental image of James.
Well, you know what I like to imagine now?
What?
About you? I like to imagine what you're thinking as if we're watching the movie together. Because I'm like, oh my God, he hated this. And I'm usually pretty spot on with these things.
Okay.
And, last week, I didn't think you were going to like Beverly Hills Cop 2. But you turned out to really not like Beverly Hills Cop 2. To borrow a phrase from the comedic genius Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Mm-hmm. This is perhaps going to be an episode where there is a film. In this case, we are serving you Beverly Hills Cop 3 for you to poop on.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. But yeah, let's get into Beverly Hills Cop 3. So in this movie, yet another of Axel Foley's friends is shot. This time it's Captain Todd, head of the Detroit Police Department, who is killed when a group of criminals attack a chop shop. A towel from Wonderworld, a Southern California amusement park, is left at the scene, leading Axel to return to Beverly Hills. There, he reteams with Billy Rosewood and meets John Flint, who basically serves as a replacement for Taggart, who's not in this movie. Flint introduces Axel to Ellis DeWald, who's the head of security at Wonderworld, and the leader of a counterfeiting operation, and the man who killed Captain Todd. Axel knows it, but he has to prove it. And the only way to do that is by having multiple shootouts at an amusement park, I guess. So the past 2 weeks I've said, hey, James, you don't need to tell me that it was a big hit at the box office because there were sequels. But I'm not so sure about this one because up until very recently, this was the third and final movie in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Was it a dud when it was released?
Yeah, this was a total dud. This had anywhere between a 50 and a 70 to $75 million budget. And this is going to be the big budget blockbuster opening Memorial Day weekend. This was a film that was, presumably supposed to print money.
Right.
And, no one saw it. It opened at number 3 on May 27th, 1994, over the weekend with $15 million. It was beaten by Goodman at number 1 and Gibson at number 2.
John Goodman.
John Goodman. Now, this film is not talked about today, but it made a ton of money. In the mid-90s, there was a real big push to take television shows of yesteryear and make movies out of them.
Oh, the Flintstones.
That's right.
Okay.
Number 2, it was a Mel Gibson movie, which was also a remake of, I think, a 60s television show.
Bird on a Wire?
No. I can't say this movie without thinking of Tina Fey saying impersonating a certain governor, talking about an almost president in 2008.
So Maverick.
Oh,
right. That was like a Western or something?
The show was called Maverick with James Garner. And number 3 was Beverly Hills Cop 3. And I wound up with $42 million total.
And when you were talking about the budget for this movie, a lot of that budget went to Eddie Murphy himself, because he said that he had no interest in doing a third Beverly Hills Cop movie after the second one came out. On the interview circuit, he said, I'm never going to do a third one. If I ever do a third one, it's because they're paying me a lot of money. And then he did do a third one, and he did get a lot of money.
I mean, at some point, good for him. We once did a great game. We were reviewing Die Hard, and I said, which one is Die Hard on a boat? Which one is Die Hard on a mountain? And we had a lot of fun with that. The writer of this film, Stephen Idasuza, he originally wrote this story as Die Hard in a theme park.
Right. I mean, it definitely feels like that. And the way that we get to the theme park is that DeWald kills Captain Todd and leaves a Wonderworld towel at the crime scene, which is really fucking weird for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that clearly Wonderworld is supposed to be like a Disneyland Universal Studios hybrid. But in real life, those resorts have hotels. That's a big moneymaker for them. They never say that Wonderworld has a hotel. So where the fuck are the branded Wonderworld towels coming from?
It's as if you have, Al's Fix-It Shop in Hillsdale, New York, business cards on you during your crime spree, and you're spreading them out.
Yeah, it's really stupid and lazy writing and forced. And also, it seems like DeWald is a professional killer. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he wouldn't make a rookie mistake, like leaving a very clear piece of evidence at the crime scene. Although Axel does interrupt them, like they were just going to blow away the mechanics. The part where the mechanics are just kind of dancing in the very beginning of the movie, I kind of like that, especially just because they're dancing to Motown and it takes place in Detroit. That's appropriate.
I actually like the opening that part of the opening scene in retrospect because I didn't get why they're doing it. Are they just trying to be? Is this trying to be a dance number? It's not making me laugh. But Eddie Murphy, he was saying, "I know these guys. They're just a bunch of like harmless mechanics in a chop shop. We don't need SWAT."
Yeah.
So that's where it made sense. Yeah, these guys are adorable.
Right. And I mean, presumably they're not violent. They do seem pretty fucking stupid because once DeWald starts like opening fire and shooting machine guns, the third through, I don't know, seventh guy that they kill, they all seem very surprised. They're like, hey, what's going on over there? What's that noise? And then they get machine gunned down. Like, you know, I get it. A chop shop is probably loud and there's loud machinery going at all times, but a machine gun's gotta sound pretty different, I would think.
Absolutely. I mean, stupid criminals are definitely a big thing in these movies. And even Axel does some stupid stuff in this film. So the Beverly Hills Cop the franchise, the theme is someone shoots a friend or someone, beloved to Axel Foley, and he's going to hunt you down.
So fucking annoying that they do that 3 times in a row. I was annoyed that they did it twice in a row last week. But, I mean, 3 times? Come the fuck on.
I do not want to be Billy because if Billy is one of Axel's only friends left in Beverly Hills Cop 4, I think I'm a dead man.
I don't know what happens in Axel F. I haven't seen it. I did see that was going to happen in the third movie in like early drafts, was that Billy was killed. Huh. So, I mean, I guess they swapped it out for Todd, who, by the way, that actor who plays Captain Todd was a real cop in Detroit. And, you know, when they were, I think, scouting locations or something, I think it was Martin Brest who met him and was like, you should just be in the movie. And he's great. I mean, he only has a handful of scenes in these 3 movies, but, you know, for a real cop, he does a good job playing a fake cop.
He's fantastic in these films. And he has 3 credits on IMDb, Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I actually thought when I first saw him on screen, I thought he was just going to be the stereotypical a cop. But there's something in his voice that he genuinely is pissed off at Axel, but he's not going to fire him because he knows he's a good cop. But you son of a like he just does everything the wrong way. Usually it pays off for Axel, but this time it doesn't. Yeah. And it was kind of cheesy, but I like that Captain Todd got one last cop line, like as he's dying, and he's like, hey, Axel, you on a coffee break? No? Then get these sons of bitches, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And I like Gilbert Hill.
Thank you for saying his name. I agree. And when Axel gets to California, there's like a gag about how Billy is now the head of whatever the hell that department is, which is just a bunch of letters, and he's really proud of this very important role, and it's kind of bureaucratic, I guess, and Axel kind of looks down on it. It did make me think of NTSFSD SUV. Did you ever watch that show?
I had heard of it because it reminded me of the first Iron Man film when Coulson, he keeps saying, I'm from strategic homeland and the department. At the end, he's like, I'm from, and Pepper Potts is like, I know, the strategic. He goes, no, just call us S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a payoff to him having said that whole thing 6 times. There's no payoff except there's one part where he's wearing the hat of it, and I actually thought, I'm like, you're almost there with having a hat that said IHT and like 7 or 8 letters. Did I miss a joke?
No.
I really thought there might be something quick. Like maybe another department comes in and they're having arguments of, I'm IHT, baby. No, I'm QRS2UWX. And there could be some little banter there that distracts them while Axel sneaks away into the kitchen. It's not necessarily it's a bad joke because it's a setup for the joke. But the punchline never delivers.
Right. All set up, no punchline. Although, just to note, when Axel is in Billy's office, they talk a little bit about Billy's very nice plant that he has in there, which is a callback to the stupidest fucking joke in the second movie, which I hated in the second movie, but I at least kind of like that they nod to it in a very, very quick way and then never mention any fucking plants ever again.
Yep. In the second film, there's a great continuity. Foley is just talking to his buddies in Beverly Hills. He has nothing to do with the case. There's no reason for him to go there yet. But he says, hey, I'm still coming to that fishing trip next week because these guys are best friends. These four of them, in the 80s, this is still, you have to fly there and write letters or call on the telephone. And something really bothered me about when they go into Rosewood's office. He walks in and he's like, hey, where's Taggart? And they're like, Taggart's already retired and left, and he's in Phoenix. Yeah. Like, you don't know this? The fact that they do write out Taggart, that's fine, but they don't even make the sense to say, oh, he's in Phoenix. He and Bogomil, they have dinner every once in a while. Yeah, we're all thinking of heading down there this Christmas or something. Like, they don't talk about the captain. Why would you write out Taggart, not the captain? Well, maybe he wasn't as integral in the second film.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like the MacGuffin, or like catching his killer is the MacGuffin of the second movie. Yeah, it's weird that they don't even bother with one line of dialogue, and it feels very, very, very clear that John Ashton didn't want to come back for this movie. There's a quote where he said that the reason he didn't come back for the movie is he read the script, which, by the way, great fucking burn. Amazing next level burn. He's not wrong. But if that actor says, I don't want to do this movie, you know what? Just don't have him be in the movie. Bringing this other guy, Flint, in to basically do every single thing that Taggart would have done is insulting and stupid and pointless. Like, really, the character of Flint does not help the plot in any way. Like, he makes the introduction to DeWalt or whatever. You could write him out of this movie in half an hour.
Hector Elizondo, he's great. He's a great character actor.
Yeah.
People might remember him mostly from, I think one of his most famous roles is in Pretty Woman. He is the maitre d' that is like very nice to Julia Roberts and is always like, he teaches her which fork to use quietly. Okay. That's how I always knew him. I think that the Beverly Hills theme is pretty perfect, yet I kind of like the updated version of it in this film. They kind of 90-fied it, 90s-ified it, but they didn't do it too much. I mean, you can't hear like MC Hammer in the background kind of thing. It's just a little bit more of a beat, a little bit less of that 80s kind of synthesizer. And that part I thought was solid. I don't know if the original guy did this one again, but I thought there was a really good update.
So the guy who did the update for this movie is Nile Rodgers. He was in Chic, and he worked on that huge Daft Punk album from, God, I guess like a decade ago. Holy shit. But he's a huge music producer, brilliant artist. And yeah, I agree. I like his version of the theme. I also did kind of chuckle when Axel goes undercover at the amusement park, and the way that you know that this giant stuffed bear, elephant, walrus, I don't fucking remember, I don't care. The way that you know that it's Axel is that it's the kitty kind of version of the Axel F theme playing in the background. I thought that was kind of cute. They just do it for 5 seconds, do, and then you get it and it's over. But let's talk about some of this stuff that happens at this amusement park, because from a test of time perspective, the joke about how expensive it is to get into the amusement park, that does stand the test of time because people are always complaining about how much it costs to go to Disney or Universal or whatever. But the number that they throw out definitely doesn't stand the test of time, because Axel is outraged that it will be $37 to get into the park, which, as a father who's bought a lot of amusement park tickets in my life,
that's the parking fee, right?
I mean, maybe when we've been in Florida, we never have a rental car, but that's nothing. $37 is like coffee and a couple of muffins or something.
Right. But I think this film has the same sin that the last film has, and the last two films, and there's a lot of action, but they change the action in a fundamental way in this film, and that is that the villains now have a stormtrooper, it's Star Wars stormtrooper, levels of incompetence with their aiming. I mean, the good guys, Rosewood or Axel, they'll be standing in the middle of the street or in the middle of a subway or just completely no cover. Someone shoots at them. The bullets light up at their feet and they go, oh no, and they run and dive over a car.
One thing that's annoying about some of those shootouts is that they're in an amusement park and it's just a shootout. Like, use the location,
right?
Which they do a bit.
Minimally, a guy gets blown into a popcorn stand. That's not using it. I'll tell you how you use an amusement park. They kill one of the henchmen. The henchman falls down on the on the roller coaster, which now starts running and cycles over and over and over and over. In a few minutes, a bad guy has one of the good guys dead to sight and says his stupid line, "You're dead," and just then a roller coaster car knocks him over.
Right.
Something like that. Use the amusement park. It's an off-brand amusement park. I like this Uncle Dave guy. I thought the casting of him, he's instantly likable, this sweet old man.
Right. But okay, so let's talk about the Ferris wheel scene. So the way that it starts is really fucking stupid because Axel is on the run from the bad guys who he knows are chasing him. He knows they have guns, and his idea is to get on a Ferris wheel. That's the stupidest fucking idea ever because all the bad guys need to do is stand there and wait. I mean, maybe get a corn dog or something, but let the ride go. Don't interrupt the ride for the other passengers. And then he has to get off. There's nowhere else he can go. And of course, that's not what happens. The bad guy says, "Give me the control." And then it instantly glitches and everything goes topsy-turvy because it's a movie. But it's all stupid. It's stupid for Axel to jump on. It's stupid for the bad guys to grab the controls. Then it's stupid for Axel to jump from car to car to save these kids because the kids are falling out. Like the door just kind of opens, the hinge opens. The ride is going for so long that eventually it's going to be very close to the ground and someone can catch them as they jump 5 feet or whatever. It's a Ferris wheel. People have to get on it.
Right. If this is not Beverly Hills Cop, I think it's a great scene. It would be a cool scene for Jason Bourne to, get in harm's way to save a couple kids. That'd be fine. Axel saves the kids, and a crowd of hundreds are going crazy, as they would. That's the greatest thing you'll ever see in your life. Holy shit.
Right.
Save 2 kids from moments away from death, from all 3 of them dying, splat. And right the next day, this same guy is going to be all over LA as the the attempted murderer of Uncle Dave. It just seems like the kind of guy that would do what he just did. It doesn't mean he couldn't be the murderer of Uncle Dave, but when you do something so unbelievably noble, like you're Sully Sulzberger who saves the hundreds of people and lands that miracle on the Hudson airplane. If the very next night people are like, he's on the run for double murder, he says he's innocent, I'd go, I don't know, maybe he's innocent. And Axel puts himself in harm's way. Everyone saw this. All the people on the Ferris wheel that saw this guy jump from car to car, because you could tell that the screenwriters thought of that. Wait, how do we get him to be on Most Wanted? And then the bad guys are like, how do we know you didn't sabotage the spider wheel to begin with? What? As if he practiced that rescue 50 times, so once he sabotages the wheel, he'll be able to pull it off easy.
Yes, and there's also the fact that Axel says, hey, you guys were shooting at me, and then they say, well, let's look at the security tape, which has very, very, very clearly been edited, and they're like, well, I guess that proves that no one was shooting at you, and you were just shooting yourself. No, that doesn't prove anything, obviously. By the way, the fact that all this takes place in the tunnels under the amusement park, that is true. There are apparently all of these tunnels that run underneath Disney World and Disneyland, and that's how people can, get from one side to the other. So that is true. Although the way Axel finds the underground tunnels is he sees someone open a tree and it's, a secret door, and then there's a ladder, but it's not locked, so any random amusement park patron could go into the secret tunnels. you're goddamn right that that is not true at any major amusement park. I would even venture a guess as to say that that was true in 1994. This isn't a post 9/11 thing. I'm sure those doors were always fucking locked.
Right, and today it's easily you'll have a badge that you gotta swipe. But I was thinking that exact same thing. Why couldn't they just do the thing where he just sneaks up upon the guy going in there, and right before the door closes, he jams his foot in there? Done.
Right.
Fine. Bronson Pinchot. He returns to the franchise as Serge, and I think his very short time on screen, it's funny. It's a little bit silly that he goes into, like, he does fashionable weapons now, but
Yeah.
you know what? They kind of want to give him, like, his Q. Q meaning the weapons guy that always outfits James Bond. I kind of like that it's Serge, and he once again is like, get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot get the fuck out of here. And I like their chemistry together. It was probably the only time in this film that for a very brief moment elevated back to just that feeling of Beverly Hills Cop 1.
I didn't really have that same feeling with Serge. I love that you pronounce that right. You pronounce everything wrong, but you get this one like spot on. So tip of the hat to you. But it just felt really forced. It felt like, oh, we need to get this guy back because he's a fan favorite and we love him and I love him. I will always love Bronson Pinchot because I love Perfect Strangers. But why is he there? Because they needed to give Axel a big gun. So they had the guy from the art gallery now do weapons. Come the fuck on. It's forced. It is a forced joke.
The gun looks so dumb. It could just be your standard AR-15, but look at the suede I put on it.
Sure.
That's what it should have been. It looks like this really ridiculous, like, cardboard contraption, which of course isn't going to work. And it's difficult to operate. And it's not a funny gag that every time he tries to fire the rocket launcher or something, it plays like hip-hop music or something.
Yeah.
And the bad guy that's aiming at Axel, instead of now having the opportunity to kill him, is just like, huh? What are you doing?
Right. It is a completely ineffective weapon. It's not fashionable, which is what Serge is saying it is. The point is, haha, it's funny, but it's really not that funny. And the place where Axel and Serge are reunited is the Private Security Awards or something, where DeWald is getting an honor. I mean, come on. Awards for private security, they probably exist. And if you've won one, congratulations. I'm not trying to shit on it, but like, it's a stupid plot device. And like, oh, well, we'll just happen to see him at this awards thing tonight. That's a hell of a coincidence, and it's really stupid. And even though I have problems with the amusement park setting, that's a fun place to, at least in theory, be and have action sequences. An awards show, that's not fun.
I didn't like the award show scene because I thought it showed Axel for the first time doing something incredibly stupid.
For the first time?
I mean, usually it looks like he's doing something stupid and he kind of falls upward. He means well at his first stakeout in the first movie, but he gets, thrown around the truck all the time. He messes up his stakeouts, and Captain Todd's always mad at him. But in the end, he figures it out. In that scene in the awards ceremony, he has absolutely no plan. He just goes up and he actually wins the crowd over by doing this fake accolation of Ellis DeWald. And, actually I started thinking, okay, there's going to be something clever here and he's going to get him to say something. But no, Ellis DeWald is able to easily get the upper hand by just playing to his emotion. What are you mad about, Foley? Because I killed your boyfriend?
But that is the thing. That's what Axel wants, is he wants him to confess to it. And I think he
saw him. Axel saw him in Detroit in that chop shop.
Yes, but Billy and Flint don't believe him because DeWald is such a respected member of the community. You can tell because he's getting this fucking bullshit award. So they're saying, oh, well, maybe you saw someone who looked like this guy and it was a traumatic event because he's your friend and you love him and blah, 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 blah. Getting the confession proves it to Axel. And then once he tells Billy and Flint, then they believe him. He still needs to prove it, but it does have that purpose. But DeWald is a counterfeiter. That is his crime. I mean, also he kills cops and stuff. But the main thing that they're doing is counterfeiting. They're printing $50 bills, which of course makes me think of the Goonies because they're printing $50 bills, and that's the funniest line in the movie, or one of them. But why? Why is DeWald counterfeiting money? I mean, nobody makes the obvious joke, but the thing about amusement parks is they print money. You know, like a hot dog is $15, the admission prices of parking, everything. If you work there, maybe just steal money if you're a bad guy. I don't know. Like, it seems like counterfeiting is a weird choice for this guy. And, you know, kind of similar to the first two movies, we don't ever get any explanation as to why he is doing what he is doing. With a good villain, you understand why the villain is doing it. You understand their motivation. You can disagree with it. You can hate it, but you get where they're coming from. Nope. DeWald is just a counterfeiter cuz.
Well, I mean, the counterfeiting is for the money, obviously, but I do like how they got to incorporate those new counterfeit transparent bills. Those came about in the mid-90s when you hold up a bill to the light and you could see those see-through numbers on there.
Oh, okay. You know a lot about bills.
Wait, you don't know about these safety features on bills?
I mean, I don't know that they were made in the mid-90s, no.
Yeah, they came around when we were kids. I remember you could hold up, and right now if you hold up like a 20 or 100, like if you hold up like, there's the big Ben Franklin picture, but there's another like subtle Ben Franklin picture as a watermark. There's a strip in the middle of the paper that says USA 100, 20 or 50 or whatever. It's not in the small bills.
I apparently don't spend as much time looking at cash under magnifying glasses and up to lights as you do. But I respect that you know this stuff. That will probably come in handy next time we do bar trivia. Also, what's the deal with this government agent who is tailing Axel and telling him to back off DeWald because he's part of a bigger investigation and you can't bother him? Right away, I'm like, that guy's in on it, clearly. He just kind of looks smarmy and he's telling the good guy to leave the bad guy alone, so we don't trust him. But again, speaking of completely unclear motivations, why is that guy working with DeWald?
Money.
Mean, sure, money, but like, come on, flesh it out a little bit. Give me a little something. Let me a little something where the villains are people I love to hate, you know, but I care, you know, I feel something. I want to know what their fucking deal is. There's no fucking deal other than, yeah, what you just said, money. That's fucking boring.
Boring.
The clue that lets Axel in on the fact that the money is counterfeit is a note that was interofficed. That kind of made me laugh from a test of time perspective. I mean, you're a doctor. Do you not interoffice things?
I remember that there used to be these envelopes. I think they're in hospitals too, where you like wrap this red string around the circle. Yeah.
That was the fun part of interofficing, was wrapping the red string up and then unwrapping the red string. But James, let me ask you about this movie as a whole. Do you think that it stands a test of time?
I have to say that I think that Beverly Hills Cop 3 unfairly gets most of the blame for killing the franchise. I don't think that Beverly Hills Cop 2 and 3 are that different from each other.
Agree.
I really think that the charm of the fish out of water is gone after the first film. Even the charm of Rosewood and Taggart are kind of gone. There's some funny parts in the second film. This film, one part made me smile, even though it made absolutely no sense. When Axel, he wants to kind of get back at Ellis DeWald and show, fuck you, man. And there's a part where he alters the counterfeit money, or actually the Wally World money. So instead of showing a picture of like the bunny rabbit, and it's like Wally bucks, it's a picture of Axel, and it just says, kiss my ass. Now, I kind of laughed at it. It kind of made me smile because, Eddie Murphy's smiling, and Eddie Murphy's smile makes me laugh. But he doesn't know that software, and, it just seems like it would be a quite difficult thing to edit. I don't know. Maybe it's incredibly simple, but...
like Print Shop Deluxe, right? It's the 90s.
Maybe. I don't know. I think there's kind of elements there. We got some new characters. We got this amusement park, lots of stuff that can happen there. We got this beautiful young woman who's going to come in, a new love interest. I kind of like that actress. Her character doesn't really do anything. Yeah. But it just doesn't come together. I think that the Taggart replacement, it's not bad because there's no captain anymore for the Beverly Hills department. So you do need like the elder statesman maybe, and it's just not a good movie in the end. And no one seems to be having fun making it. It doesn't stand the test of time. I'm hoping the best for the fourth film on Netflix, but on the trajectory it's going on, it's not going well. But they've had decades to figure this out. What do you think, Al? Well, I know, but why don't you tell us if Beverly Hills Cop 3 stands the test of time?
No, of course not. This is a really, really shitty movie. And, we were kind of talking last week about how the humor was forced in the second movie. And you were saying, well, it was directed by Tony Scott, the action guy. This movie is directed by John fucking Landis, the comedy guy. This guy directed Kentucky Fried Movie and Animal House, which we love, and Coming to America, and all of these really funny movies. And this movie is not funny. The fact that Eddie Murphy just showed up for the paycheck, yeah, you can kind of see that. He doesn't really seem to be interested in playing this character. I read some interview where he said that for this movie, he was a more mature Axel Foley, and he'd grown up a bit since, the events of the first two movies. And that's fine. That makes sense. But people are expecting Eddie Murphy in a Beverly Hills Cop movie to be occasionally funny, and that really doesn't fucking happen.
Right. I mean, you could hand him a banana and be like, put in the tailpipe, and he'll be like, I don't do that anymore. It's just not what we got.
Yeah, this is a bad fucking movie. Oh, one thing that really doesn't stand the test of time, when they're in the amusement park, Axel needs to use the payphone to get a hold of Billy, I think. And there's a guy on the payphone talking to his wife, telling her where he should meet her in the amusement park. Like, how the fuck does that work? Like, they called each other on separate payphones, and that's just a logistical nightmare. Thank God there are cell phones. I mean, being able to find someone at Disney World, that is a very important feature of cell phones. Also, the first time there are gunshots fired in the amusement park, nobody fucking flinches. Everyone just keeps going about their day. And then later on, like when Axel shoots his gun up in the air, then everyone goes, oh my God, and drops to the ground, which is more realistic. But there are gunshots fired and no one really cares. Also, when Billy is stuck in the computer room with the love interest, his solution is to use the modem to keep calling Flint's pager. From a test of time perspective, that made me laugh. But also it's completely pointless because eventually Flint does come to the park, but Billy just throws a chair through the window and escapes that way. So there's no fucking point.
I also really hate the last lines of the action scene. All the principal characters have been shot, but they're all laughing about it. He needs medical attention. Like, maybe if they're about to die, they're kind of going into shock and they're having this nervous laugh, but it's a weird vibe.
It is. It's dumb. It's bad. It didn't need to be made. It's a shitty movie, and no, it definitely does not stand the test of time. By the way, it ends on a freeze frame. We didn't mention this the last 2 weeks, but all three of the Beverly Hills Cop movies end on a freeze frame. And I just kind of think that doesn't really stand the test of time.
Eddie Murphy smiling in a freeze frame, I think, was a perfect ending to Beverly Hills Cop 1. I do think freeze frames can work in films, and I think it worked in the first film, somewhat in the second film, because the second film ends on a joke. I think he leaves the house he was like fake house sitting for, and they're like, Axel, and he turns around, you got me, guys, and like that's the freeze frame, because that's actually a fine ending, because he's kind of a little bit of a hustler. This last ending is just more like, yay, you saved the day. That's right. And smiling.
Yeah. I did have one thing that I'm mildly curious about and not curious enough to look it up at all. But I know that Beverly Hills Cop Axel F features Axel Foley's daughter in some capacity. I don't really know what happens with her, but I was wondering if she is the daughter of Axel and the love interest from this movie.
Oh, absolutely not, because they're not going to acknowledge anything from this film. They're not going to say Wally World, Wonderworld. I did read that John Ashton is back in some way. Maybe he's the one that gets killed this time or shot. I don't know, but
yeah, he's in the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean, he's definitely retired because he would not be on the force at that age. I don't mean that as an ageist comment. I mean, cops have really good pensions, so they don't need to work until they're in their late 80s.
Well, we haven't seen Taggart since 1987.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up our Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. We will do more Eddie Murphy movies on the podcast. We'll do Nutty Professor and Nutty Professor 2, the Clumps. But next week, we're going to be talking about another movie that is getting a requel, a sequel many years later, Twister. Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt. I've never seen Twister. Did you see Twister?
I've never seen Twister.
Okay, well, we will watch Twister and talk about it next week. In the meantime, we want to hear from you guys. We are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.